meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the year. Copies of all revised additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the record suburbanite North Valley Press and are posted in the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center. For the record, we're waiting for two councilmen that we are expecting, Councilman Barzalato and Councilman Stefanowitz. For the benefit of the public, this is a public meeting, which means that we will have our public comment in the big room, not too distant a time. Lisette, you have anything?
No.
Bill?
No.
I thought you said there was a change in the
No,
agenda.
we'll be changing it, which I would announce in there. We're going to add
239?
we're going to add something to the closed session.
Oh, okay. Jill, you have anything? Okay, you know what? Yes, Dan?
Jewel, Tenafly Road, when the power line went down. Is there an ETA on that from KCNG?
The car flipped over there, you know.
No,
Was this today?
Today, a car flipped over on Tenafly Road outside of the Stillman School after school.
not the power line.
Yes. And how to use the jaws of life, I guess, to get people out.
What's that?
Kids got a free day?
No, but that's a report from my 11-year-old, and he saw the whole thing, so it's probably relatively
No, we
accurate.
don't, not yet.
Did they get out of school? They got.
School was already over.
Yeah, they have days.
Okay, since Max and Shama, since I heard you mention other things, we have a little time here. If there's something you want to bring up, we can.
Why don't we do that?
Why don't we
Good
do
on
it?
the order thing
Yes.
I was talking about?
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what, I read this in the New Jersey Municipalities magazines. There's a program that if you collect, I don't know, I'm trying to read as fast as I can, 500 pounds of plastic bags, and I don't know how many million plastic bags those are, you can turn them in and get a bench for the town. It's a Trex bench. And
Who's the bench come from?
From Trex?
I
Well,
guess
it's made
it's
out
It's a brand name. It's a brand name.
They recycle it and it's 3D printed.
Yeah, so I thought maybe this is something
really?
we should,
They
I mean, there's so much plastic
Just
bags.
melt down the
Maybe we
plastic.
can use this as an incentive to get people to return their plastic bags, recycle them. I know that Lowell used to do that, and that you said Stop and Shop does it also?
The environmental committee brought it up.
I gave it to John Worms also
Yes.
to read.
Yes.
Well, in Stop and Shop, there are big containers, cardboard containers where you can throw plastic bags in there. But this might also could be something one of the elementary schools might want to pick up and run.
Yeah, but this has to be done like a community thing.
Yes,
You
right.
cannot, you
It's
can't
It's a nice
just,
idea.
you
Yeah.
can't just.
Three benches.
Yeah, we should have a recycling process, maybe even when they pick up or something, so by the time we get to 4,000, we get a bin, or even something else. We should have a process to get rid of those.
There's a website to go, trex.com recycling program to find out more details.
So maybe we have the environmental commission.
Exactly.
They're
That's
taking
what we
up
would like
ideas.
to do.
They're looking up ideas.
Yeah, so
how to do
It's a
it.
very
Just
good idea.
quick question for Jewel. You remember at the DPW center, not the center, the recycling center, they had the clothing
Bins.
bin. Can we do something similar to that just for plastic bags, you think? Just find a space, people come by, drop it off.
Well, like I said, the Stop and Shop has one. We could do something similar. So
Yeah.
all we really need is some
a box.
But
box.
I don't think it's really the placing the box that's the idea. I think the issue is to get people aware about collecting.
Oh.
There are boxes all over, I'm
They're
sure.
working on
So I
that
thought
too.
we have to
They're
have
working on that too.
Yeah, why don't we do
referring it to the environmental commission and let them come up with.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe
They'll
alternatives.
they'll probably
They
reach
get
out
the
to you.
schools involved,
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
everything starts.
Because
There-
that should also probably gain us some points through our certification. We kind
That's
of
always
move
fun.
from bronze
Right.
to
That's
silver.
always fun.
Max, did you have something?
That was my.
No, there was the one that we had, and I have, for the good of the order, but I thought that we put it on the next meeting, but I can bring it up right now. Yesterday at the meeting at the senior center, basically there was an accident outside the senior center because the strip of asphalt that goes along the street is degraded and there are holes and people fell. And on the part of the senior center, they have those low-rise markers that stop the cars from getting in. And at night, people trip, and one of the members of the board of trustees fell and almost accident. So they were saying, first of all, that street has to be repaved. because
It's already scheduled, it's gonna be repaved the week the center is closed.
the second part is, can we do something that they can put something that it's tall enough so people can see when they park and they stop, but not small enough that people trip on it?
I think that's a very good idea. Jewel, would you ask Bob Coleman to investigate how we can replace those concrete bars with a taller post that
Yeah.
they not only won't trip over, but you can see them when you pull them
Exactly,
into the
they
car.
don't kill
So you know exactly what takes out your hood.
The next part of it is, the next part of it was, they installed the generator, and in front of the generator, there is like almost an alleyway that people walk and along the building. But again, there is no stopping the car from getting too close to the generator, and they were afraid that one of those seniors might hit that generator at night. Now there's something wrong. Can we do the same thing?
That certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Can we do the same thing, those,
You put bollards there.
yeah, but something tall,
Should've done it
again,
that way.
something tall that
Well,
can
the
be
generator
seen.
was just installed this week.
Yeah,
Put bollards in, concrete bollards.
Absolutely.
yeah, something, okay.
That needs to be done sooner rather than.
All right, then we don't have to discuss it next, yeah, we're done with this.
And that will mine too.
Max, are there enough lights there at night?
Okay, the lights are, I think that they are sufficient for the,
We have time, right?
yeah, they're sufficient for the moment.
Okay, good.
We're gonna do an inventory of all the environments around it and come back with something that is, okay.
Can you tell me when the railroad tracks are gonna be done?
The last time we contacted DOT, they said the timing was not in their hands, it was in CSX's hands.
When you say the railroad tracks, you're referring to
Central
crossing,
Avenue?
Central
Yeah.
Avenue crossing?
I mean, it was
I-
definitely a hurry up and wait.
I actually called my contact person maybe a month ago, because it's now a year since we had the pre-construction meeting, which is, I guess,
We had to have immediately.
why I guess they call it pre-construction. It's definitely pre-construction. No, I got no information from them at all. You know, it's passing the buck. But I can reach out to them again. But I called the so-called project manager who introduced himself down there. We had everybody from Tenafly there and people from CSX, people from DOT, people from the contractors.
We had a group of like 12 people.
They were supposed to do it last summer.
They actually had the meeting to do the traffic pattern, and then it just came to a halt.
Well, we can.
Not getting any better than this.
No, it's not. We'll
No
push it.
better.
We'll push it again. Thank you for bringing it up.
Right away with CSX.
No, it never is. Sounds like a red letter to God.
Okay,
Get a response.
a motion to close the pre-meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you inside. Good evening, everyone. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the record, the Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted in on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barzalato? Here. Councilmember Bash?
Here.
Councilmember Hader?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Here.
Councilmember Zina?
Here.
Mayor Rustin?
Here. I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes. May the 24th, the closed session. May the 24th, the work session. May the 24th, the regular meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Revisions to the agenda.
We have one, we're just adding to closed session an update, which is an attorney-client privilege matter on the municipal co-litigation.
Thank you. Audience remarks for agenda items. Anybody care to speak on anything that's on the agenda? All righty. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Hader?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yep.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Thank you. Committee reports. Paul, do you have?
I have no report tonight.
Max?
Yes, I have two reports. First of all, the Senior Citizen Committee met and they put together the finalized job description that's going to be presented to Jewel. I don't even know if you got it already or not.
Not yet.
All right, so I'll make sure that you get it as soon as possible. Also, they finalized the letter of response to the comments that Jewel had on the bus use description, so we can proceed with the purchase. And the whole idea is that while those rules and regulations are going to be continuously basically improved, and once we have the bus, we'll understand better. We want to be able to proceed now with the purchase because that's going to take a while to get that done. And while we improve, we got some people from Howard and Harrington Park that came and told us how they do the managing of their bus, and we are pretty close to the finalized rules. You'll have those documents probably by the end of this week. I'll make sure that you get them. That was pretty much the meeting with the senior citizen. The senior center meeting, because Councilman Hader could not participate. Council lady. Late person. Okay. First of all, after you, Peter, and Jules left the meeting, they were extremely graceful and they were saying that this was something that they were waiting for such a long time, that uncertainty about the senior center and all the rumors that were going on were now abated, and now they understand that the senior center is really a priority. That's why they orbed up. We went and see all around what things have to be done. So they were extremely pleased by the fact that attention was paid to the center, and attention came, and they are now part of what they believe to be part of the town and everything else. The meeting re-elected some of the members of the Board of Trustees. Some of the members, they have a rules that after two-year stints, you are out, so they're looking for additional members. And the last thing is what we discussed yesterday, not yesterday, just early before, the issue with the parking and stuff around the center. We discussed, we are pretty much on control there, so that's pretty much it.
Okay, I just wanted to report briefly on the Board of Health. I sat in for Paul, who had family issues. They mentioned two things that I thought were of interest. One is they talked in depth about the Zika illness, mosquito-borne illness, and the sense is that it's not going to be a factor in New Jersey this year. But on the other hand, mosquito control is always an issue in Tenafly or in New Jersey, and our health inspector will be on top of that. They also mentioned briefly an interest in the shingles vaccine that Max had talked about previously. They are looking into possible methods of acquiring that for residents. The pluses and cons, the pluses and negatives of it. I guess the shingles vaccine is a little bit more complicated than like a flu vaccine. So it's important that if it's going to be done, it be done right. So they are considering that. It's not part of, is it HARP?
Yeah, it's not part of HARP.
When the HARP contract is up, then they would consider, how they want to. And HARP can provide the shingles vaccine. It's just whatever the package is that you contract for it. So that was it on the Board of Health. Tony, you have anything? Mark?
Sure, a couple of things. Councilman Bausch and I had an ad hoc committee meeting last week of the community center. A couple of things came out of that. One decision was we're going to visit another location, Leonia, in terms to see what their community/recreation center is there. Second, we're in the midst of, one of the members is preparing a draft report because we came up with different bullet items, if you will, of items that we would like to see in a community center. And the fourth part of that, once we deliver that report to the mayor and council, that'll come along with the recommendation of the idea that the next step is basically to have a conversation about engaging an engineer so that we can start putting numbers to paper and understanding what we're talking about and deciding whether we can be serious and whether we can really make something like this move forward. So that's coming. The second thing is the TVAC sponsored their annual boat ride, and they, as always, did a fantastic job. I, for one, had a great time there, and I'm sure everyone else who attended did too. So thanks to them again.
Dan, you have anything?
No, Dan didn't like it so much,
I
but
get
that's
seasick.
okay. Dan got seasick.
Dan,
That's
you
okay.
and have anything to report?
We had our CAP meeting before the summer started. They have some new ideas they'll be implementing next year.
Into the mic.
They'll be working with other groups in town, trying to promote CAP in general, the LEADS program, and everything going forward. The environmental committee decided that the new focus should be education and outreach.
1 second, Dan. Lisette, do you have any idea where that feedback is coming from?
Sounds like a phone.
Sounds like a phone vibrating.
Okay, somebody has their phone on? Thank you.
And the Green Team's garden is up and running. So that's it.
How's the garden doing?
Pretty well. They're taking care of things a week at a time. Animal control and all these things. I have no idea about gardening. But
They've improved the access to water.
yes, that's been
Made
fixed.
that-
Yeah.
Simplified it.
And I think the rain barrel's in place and everything. Yeah, they're taking care of it.
When can we buy tomatoes?
Okay, thank you. And does anybody have any old or new business? Okay, audience remarks for non-agenda items. Anybody have anything they'd like to speak? Please, sir. Just state your name and what street you live on for the record, please.
Yeah, my name's Bruce Tang. I live at 5 Norman Place. Specifically, we noticed there's a parking issue on the Norman. Overnight parking, we're seeing a lot of car parked on that street. And I had a conversation with the borough police, and he said the property at the Norman, 2 Norman Place has some kind of agreement with the borough saying that they do not have a parking lot. They have to leave the car on the street. And that's just not the case, that they do have a parking lot, a small courtyard.
Well, first of all, you're referring to a parking, like a driveway, correct?
A driveway, yes.
And
the driveway
when you
or the
say
court.
there's, how many cars are they parking on the street?
When I spoke to the officer, he said if you are referring to there are 4 cars parked overnight constantly, we already knew that, he said.
Okay, well, we'll look into that, sir. It's the first I've heard of it.
Right.
Residents, when there is an issue, residents have an opportunity to call the police department on a temporary basis. This should not be a long-term solution.
Correct.
So
And
we'll get to the bottom of it.
he said council has, the borough actually had a resolution on the property owner, with the property owner agreed to park on Franklin Street. I really don't think that's practical. You know, it's a walk, basically, from, nobody's going to park on Franklin Street and walk to the...
Well, residences are supposed to have enough parking spaces, off-street parking,
Yes.
to satisfy the needs of whoever lives there.
Right.
So we'll look into it. You're talking about something I don't think anybody here is familiar with. Like I said, the police do have the ability to allow residents who call in, if you're paving your driveway, or for example, you may have guests overnight.
Yes,
But this is not something that should be done on a long-term, permanent basis.
I agree.
So we'll look into it.
Yes.
And thank you for bringing it to our attention.
I'm a neighbor.
I'm sorry?
I'm a neighbor, his neighbor.
Well, if you want to speak, you need to give your name,
Okay.
please.
Julia Sandler. I live on 7 Norman.
Your name is?
Julia.
Okay. And you live on Norman Place as well?
Yeah, 7 next to him.
Okay.
This big car Sometimes they park over here at the end, sometimes they park over there. So most of the time, if they park here, we have like people coming to school morning and 3 o'clock, and the same coming back. So one day I was hit by a car. When the car was, I think, I don't remember exactly, but anyway, it was like only one car can go in the street. So I was waiting on Tenafly Road. It's a big street. Norman is also big one. So only one car can get out. No one can get in if somebody is standing here to try to get out. So I was standing there and big car hit me, like smashed half of my car, and I have a van. I was with kids at the time. So it's dangerous.
We understand. You know, and by the way, you don't have to wait or come to a council meeting. When you have an issue like this, you can call Borough Hall. If you're not happy with the way the police are handling it, or you don't like their answer, call Borough Hall, ask to speak to the clerk or the administrator.
I went to
We're
Borough
here for
Hall
you.
twice. I went to police twice.
Okay, well, like I said, the police are very good and they handle things most of the time very well.
Yeah.
If there's an issue that you're not happy with, you can always come to us.
Yeah, I went there and they told me, what can we do? They like
All right, well, like I said, cars should not be allowed to park on the street long-term, and we'll look into it.
but it's like half a year already.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Are the cars from the house on the corner of Tenafly and Norman?
Yes.
That's where the cars are?
Yes. There are at least 4 cars, if not 5 cars, belongs to Norman Place.
And they
And they
have
constantly-
enough space.
Right.
But it's only a two-family house. I don't understand
Yes,
how.
we don't know where the other cars coming from. But when I spoke to the officer, and first thing he asked, how do you know they did not call in? Okay, and to me, it's like a shifting blame on us. So, oh, you don't know anything. Why you should have called in? Call us.
But you're not complaining about a one-time thing. You're saying the cars are there every night, right?
Yes.
Okay, well,
But
that's a different issue.
Right. He said.
You do have the.
No. He said that he already knew that, basically.
Okay.
He said there's a 4 or 5 car.
We'll look into it.
Right. That, and he said if you want to resolve the issue, okay, go to the council meeting.
Okay.
So that's why we're here.
Well, thank you for, like I said, thank you for
Yeah.
bringing it to our attention.
Right. We have more neighbor also complain the same thing, but they cannot come today.
It's okay.
I would just want
You've
to.
made us aware of the situation, whether
Okay.
it's one neighbor complaining or 6. We look at it the same way.
Yeah, 4. 280.
Doesn't matter. We'll look
Okay.
into it, sir.
Can I bring another issue, perhaps?
Well, usually it's one to a customer, but okay. It's a
Okay.
slow night.
Okay, okay. There's been a lot of complaining. I guess you are aware of a 289? Tenafly Road. Yeah.
289.
289 Tenafly Road.
Yeah.
There's a property, okay, they have actually 2 car and also trailer, I think, was in the backyard for a long time. And
Personally, I'm not aware of that, sir, but this is property maintenance, and our administrator will
yeah,
give this to our code enforcement official tomorrow to look at.
well, actually, I lived Tenafly for 16 years. The car was there before I moved in.
It's a classic.
Yeah, if you can get money, I will agree with that.
We can't be everywhere, you know, many times a violation is not noticed until somebody complains about it. So we appreciate.
Well, actually, the inspector actually knew about it because he gave me a letter. He saw me was working on my car on the driveway. He said, you cannot do that. Okay? He wrote me a letter. I have a letter with me. Okay? I don't want to show it, but I say, okay, why you selectively enforce this? And I have a neighbor here, I have junk car in a junkyard by his definition. 2 car, right? It's a junkyard, right? Why you don't do anything about it? He said, well, we're trying. We'll bring him to court. It's been 16 years. So maybe you're not aware of it, but yeah.
We'll take a look, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Any other Comments, public comments? Please?
Both cars, not registered. Yeah, no, I think that was sometime.
Johanna Gambro, Ravine Road.
Just say something, Joe, so we hear.
Concerning the community center idea, I'm completely baffled as to why the approach isn't from a needs basis approach. And that was discussed in the ad hoc committee, that they weren't going to do a needs basis until they visited towns, till they could see what they could build, didn't know where they were going to build. I find this incredible. I don't know why. It seems to be bubbling up from one resident. And I swim every day at the mile at the Tenafly Swim Club. And there is a lot of concern about taking a community that's already established, that people absolutely love, and I use that word because it's true, and for various different reasons. People, it's a beautiful spot, it's quiet, people have friendships for, I've been there 31 years, and new people come in and they add so much to the community. And to disturb that by building a dome over it or whatever is I keep hearing in these meetings is beyond my comprehension as to why the people who actually use the club don't have a big say in this, and that there's not a needs basis. It's just kind of out in the air. We'll visit places, then we'll see what they have. It seems to be coming from one person. So we need some answers. We need some justification. We need some clarity, because there's a lot of buzz going around with the people there. And I don't know why this has been eliminated. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Well, just I guess it's Mayor's remarks time, and just to set the record straight on the community center, that committee was charged only with going out and looking at other centers and coming back with a sense of what other centers have, what this town might like to have. There's no decision to build a community center. There's no talk of anything other than let's look and see what's out there, and then we can decide. And the final decision rests not with any ad hoc committee, but with the 7 people that sit up here. And that decision on whether or not to have a community center is a long way off. So, rumors aside, there's no reason really to, if we didn't do it, our due diligence and investigate, we would be criticized for not doing it. So we're just starting out and taking a look, and the decision may be that we don't need a community center. And if we decide to move the process forward in any manner, the public will have a tremendous amount of input on the process. The other thing I wanted to do with my mayor's remarks tonight is it's something that I do with a little bit of joy and a lot of sadness. I want to recognize somebody who over the years I'd like to consider a friend, but more important, a tremendous friend to the town of Tenafly. Bob Kutik, who's been the proprietor, the owner of Warren's Bookstore for, 14 years now, has kept that business afloat as long as he possibly could. Most of you are probably aware of the issues in trying to keep a retail business going in a small community such as Tenafly. And once the bookstore is gone, we're going to have a lot of people who probably never bought a book there say it's a shame we lost it. But the reality of it is, like a lot of the other stores, like the pet store that we lost, like department stores that we lost, were lost primarily because they weren't supported by the population that lives in this town. Not that I'm criticizing anybody, because the way things work today, people go online to buy books, they go to the big bookstores on the highway, or they have e-readers. That's the way it's going, and the bookstores are I think the article in the Record today said there's only 1 or 2 left in Bergen County. Walmart's, which had how many at one time, Bob?
47.
They had 47 stores, they're down to 1, and that's over in Westchester County. So before I read this proclamation, I want to personally thank you, and I think I speak for the members of the governing body, for all that you've done trying to promote not only your store but our downtown. You really put your heart and soul into it, and we really appreciate it, and I think the proclamation will say a lot. Whereas Warmarant's bookstore has been a very important part of the fabric of Tenafly, a true centerpiece of Tenafly's downtown, and whereas Warmarant's bookstore has for many years been a destination store that has brought thousands of consumers into Tenafly's business district, and whereas for 16 years Bob Kutek has worked diligently with great creativity to market not only Warman's bookstore, but the entire downtown business district of Tenafly. And whereas Bob Kutek has served Tenafly as president of the Chamber of Commerce and president of the Tenafly Business Improvement District, and whereas Bob Kutek has decided to retire and start another phase of his life, therefore now be it resolved on behalf of the Borough of Tenafly, I wish to recognize Bob's service to our town and to thank him for all that he has done to improve the quality of life for all of the residents of Tenafly. We wish Bob and his family good luck and good health in the future, and may he return often to Tenafly and visit his friends and associates as often as possible. Thank you for your service, Bob.
Are you presenting that to him?
I'm sorry?
Are you presenting that to him?
I am, as soon as I sign it. Thank you.
Look at me and smile.
One more, hold on.
Roll it. Thank you. Thank you. Did everyone say anything else, Stephen? You may, sir.
Sure. You know, I grew up in Tenafly. My family moved here in 1952. Went away to college, graduated in 1969. Worked in our bookstore in Hackensack, which closed in 2001. I had an opportunity in 2002 to come back to Tenafly. Felt like coming home again. And I've been blessed. I met a lot of nice people. And I just wanted to thank everybody who shopped at the store, everybody who came to say hello. I will miss everybody. But I'm still going to be around, so if you ever need anything, any committees, any advice, maybe even some books, let me know. But thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody would like to add anything? Okay, well, thank you very much. That's it, I guess. You want to read our closed session?
Sure.
Thank you.
Resolved into compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly go into closed executive session to discuss the following matters. 2 are attorney-client privilege matters. One is just discussion of some pending or potential real estate transactions. The second is the one I added. That's just an update on the recent developments in the municipal COA litigation, of which we're a part. And the last is a personnel matter, which is an update on a senior senate personnel matter. This will be taken to this meeting and released to the public at the time the matters are resolved. After this closed executive session, the Mayor and Council will reconvene in the Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion to go into close, please.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you for coming. Safe trip home.